Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kasmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. President John Mahama petitioned to remove current Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo from office. We'll go into the merit or otherwise of her removal case shortly. Also coming up, an overnight rainfall causes havoc in several parts of the capital city. We take you live to our correspondent shortly. And much later, President Mahama nominates district chief executives for positions across the regions. We'll hear from some experts. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Now, 3 weeks. That's roughly the estimated time the Council of State will have to arrive at a decision as to whether or not a prima facie case has been found against the Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo following petitions to have her removed. President Mahama has forwarded as many as 3 separate petitions to the Council of State demanding the removal of the Chief Justice. The latest makes 4 petitions submitted for the removal of the current Chief Justice. Details on the current petitions remain unknown, but remember that President Nana Akufo-Addo, as in former president, early in the year dismissed the petition calling for calling for the removal of Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo, citing lack of evidence to support the allegations. The petition submitted by Professor Stephen Kwakwasare accused the Chief Justice of misbehavior and incompetence in her administrative role. I've been joined in the studio now by my colleague Wisdom Stafford with some more on this. Wisdom, just really tell us what the processes are leading to the removal of the Chief Justice.
Okay, Beatrice. So the processes for the removal of a Chief Justice in Ghana is stated in the Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution. So firstly, a petition must be sent to the President. So the President receives the petition and the President consults the Council of State to determine whether there's a prima facie case. So prima facie basically means that the case is worth investigating or moving on to the next stage.
There's some evidence to it.
Yes. Now, if there is no prima facie case, the petition is dismissed. Now, if there is a prima facie case, a committee comprising 2 Supreme Court justices and 3 other persons who are not members of the Council of State, nor MPs, nor lawyers, will be tasked to probe into the matter. So, and the President is bound by the decision or the ultimate reports by these committee. Now, there is a caveat here. If where a petition has been referred to the committee under this article, the President may, in a case of the Chief Justice, act in accordance with the advice of the Council of State, by warrant signed by him, suspend the Chief Justice. So there is a caveat, and the caveat is that whilst the investigation is ongoing, the President can actually write to suspend the Chief Justice. And it's interesting to note that looking at all the Chief Justice that has come from under the Fourth Republic since 1991, it's only the first 2 that, per my record, per my research, I don't have any information of prima facie case against them or a petition leveled against them by anyone for their removal. And all the Chief Justices is Madame Gertrude Torkornoo, who has the most petitions.
Of 4.
Of 4 per my record. So that's the processes involved in the removal of Chief Justice when it comes to the case of Ghana.
Thank you very much, Wisdom Stafford. Let's speak to lawyer Osman Al-Hassan. He joins us on the phone. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon and thank you. Welcome.
I'm sure you heard my colleague there running us through the processes and also really giving us the clarity that the current Chief Justice has received the highest numbers of petitions against her. But you know that former President Akufo-Addo dismissed the first one that was brought to him, saying that it didn't have any merit. Looking at the fact that you're having 3 more coming in, do you think anything would be different this time around?
Well, good afternoon to your listeners. Of course, the many things have changed since the first petition was made, isn't it? Yeah, so I think we don't, to be honest with you, I don't know the content of the new 3 petitions.
Indeed, it's scanty.
And that is how it should be, because there's a constitutional requirement for it not to be public. So it will be difficult for us to know the grounds based on which these petitions have been made. And because of that, it will also be difficult for us to express any opinion of how it's going to be.
Now, one of the reasons for the question is that you remember that ahead of the 2024 general elections, there were concerns about overly politicizing the judiciary, and some comments that had been even made by the Chief Justice herself regarding the president, and people feeling that perhaps it was the reason when a case was brought against her, the president didn't find any reason to delay in dismissing it and called the matter or the case as without merit. And people feel that perhaps things may be different this time around under a different president.
Yes, well, if what you just said is the question, for me, what happened with the previous president, I have always had my personal disagreement with the process by which the prima facie case is established. You know, you don't establish prima facie case based on mere allegation without evidence. I don't know how the previous president arrived at the conclusion that there was no prima facie case. But I remember, if what I saw in speculation within social media was correct, that the petitioner did not attach evidence to the allegations or something of the sort. So, which means that if that is correct, the initial petition did not have evidence. But for my point is that whoever is determining the prima facie case should have been at liberty to summon evidence from both sides in order to see if there is prima facie case. For me, I think without evidence, you can't arrive at a conclusion of a prima facie case. So for me, I think what could be different, perhaps this time they will adopt a different approach. This time the petition contains evidence, or perhaps this time the Council of State that is newly constituted by the president would take an approach that will avail it of evidence for it to be able to come to that conclusion properly. And so what I am sure about is that the process, the constitutional process, has been triggered off, and it is ongoing.
Having made that point, the fact that our constitution has established really a process to removing the Chief Justice means that you cannot just remove her. What are your expectations regarding following these procedures to arrive at a conclusion?
I don't understand when you say you cannot just remove her.
I'm just trying to say that there's a procedure, yes.
The constitutional procedure that must be followed. And I think that's what the president is following. Because someone must petition the president, and the president must, in fact, if you look at the express provisions of the Constitution, in the case of Chief Justice, it doesn't expressly mention the establishment of prima facie case. The removal of the Chief Justice is completely different in express language in the Constitution from other superior court judges. But the Supreme Court in other cases have interpreted the Constitution to mean that if it is fair for the removal of any justice to require prima facie case, it might as well be applied to the Chief Justice. And that's how come the president, it becomes a norm for the president to constitute a Council of State. He's acting on their advice or in consultation with them. And so they constitute the committee to establish a prima facie case before they could take the next step. And so it's true that the president cannot just remove, but there is a constitutional process. If followed, then of course it might come to that end or otherwise. Because if they are unable to find a prima facie, of course, there is no issue of removal.
Mr. Osman Al-Hassan, thank you so much for speaking to us.
Most welcome.
And you heard there Osman Al-Hassan. He's a private legal practitioner sharing his views on the petitions before the president to remove the current Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo. Now, the National Association of Graduate Teachers has called on President John Mahama to immediately remove the Deputy Director General of Education, Professor Smile Gise. At a news conference addressed by the President of NAGRAT, Angel Kabonu, the association said that it is ready to meet the President to discuss the appointment into the Ghana Education Service, and any failure may result in industrial disharmony.
Is based on the principle that pre-tertiary institutions have capable men and women to man the various positions, and that the Ghana Education Service is part of public service with its own public service rules and regulations. There are minimum qualifications of entry, rules and regulations for promotion, and the various ranks established in the conditions of service that will make people who operate in that space apply to. Unfortunately, these days, political appointment is so rampant in the public and civil service that in the case of the Ghana Education Service, people have been appointed to senior positions to perform duties that people who have operated in that space for many years, have upgraded and developed themselves for many years, and have gone through interviews, are not even placed in that position.
Meanwhile, the Executive Secretary of CLOGSAC, Isaac Bampo, who was present at the news conference, also said that CLOGSAC will solidarize with NAGRAT if it declares the strike.
Our Constitution says in Article 195 that yes, appointments of persons into the public services to hold or act rests with the president. But that appointment must be made according to the advice of the council in collaboration with the Public Services Commission. To the best of our knowledge, as we speak now, almost all the councils of public services are not in place. They've been dissolved. So these appointments that are being made, where is the advice coming from? Because according to the Constitution, appointments must be made in accordance. That means the president must not deviate from the advice that will come from the council, in accordance with the advice of the council. So please, Mr. President, let's all comply with provisions in the Constitution. We'll be writing to the Minister for Jobs and Employment that we want to sit down and talk to the president. We know he's a listening president. We want to talk to him.
The Executive Secretary of CLOGSAC, Isaac Bampo. Now, it's barely 24 hours following yesterday's rainstorm and the devastation that came with it. As you may be aware, the rainstorm destroyed properties at the car park of the ANC Mall in East Legon. Owners of affected vehicles are moving their cars out after a briefing with management on insurance procedures. George Quening is there. He joins us live on the line. George, just tell us which places you've been to and the latest.
So, Beatrice, thanks for having me. So I actually came here. This was my first point of call. That's the ANC Mall. And if you recall, it actually has been at the center of controversy, and also the fact that following yesterday's devastation, it has been one of the principal sites that got most of properties here damaged. And so yesterday it was a solar panel structure that collapsed and actually served as more like a cover at the car park. And so what has happened today is the fact that most of these drivers of the affected vehicles have come here to engage management of the facility. And so the damage is such that all the cars can move. So the drivers have come to move their cars, and I'm sure some will also come and pick their cars later. So what have been relayed to them is that they can go and fix their car and bring the invoice, but align with their insurance procedures. For instance, Beatrice, if you go and fix your car and you come and tell me it's 200,000 Ghana cedis, you don't expect ANC to pay that money. It should be reasonable. So yes, go and fix your car, bring your invoice, and then we'll sort it out later. So yesterday, the ANC issued a release, trying to tell customers that they're sorry about this for all the inconvenience that have caused as a result of this. But after engagement with insurers, even affected persons and NADMO officials here, they will come up with a detailed release on the way forward. But NADMO is also here to assess the situation, and I spoke to the Deputy Director of Operations, Teddy Safori, and he was also concerned. And when he saw the picture, the video that was trending yesterday, he was really, really, apprehensive. And he was praying that nothing untoward happened. Maybe people, dying and all that. But God being so good, we didn't record any death as a result of this very rainstorm. But he says the new NADMO is going to be more proactive than being reactive. The new NADMO would only be managing disasters. It will be preventing disasters and not managing them this time. So
let me take you back a little bit. You're saying that the management of ANC Mall and the owners of the vehicles that were affected have reached an agreement, which is that they need to fix their cars and bring the bills for them to be paid.
They bring their invoice, but it should align with their procedures, because you can't bring any bloated payments for them to pay. So they should be reasonable.
Okay, but earlier we also had the information that NADMO had cordoned off the place, but I heard you say that traffic is moving on smoothly. Tell us what transpired earlier before this eventual opening.
Okay, so the traffic was actually yesterday, but when I came here today, there was no sort of traffic here. You can just see the place just being cordoned off. But the other sides, which were not affected, cars are parking and they are moving freely. And then there are other, so the solar panel, it has managers. So the managers are the ones trying to fix it. So they came to clear the debris yesterday. The exact managers of the solar panels are the ones clearing the debris and trying to, sort things out even today. So in terms of vehicular traffic and even human traffic, it's normal. It's normal. It was just yesterday that, we saw lots of that, but today it's smooth.
Thank you very much, George Quening, reporting live from East Legon. Meanwhile, the Ghana Meteorological Agency, GMET, has commenced the translation of meteorological products into various information formats to serve the needs of persons with disability. Director General of GMET, Dr. Eric Asuman, spoke earlier to the media.
Our role as Ghana's National Meteorological Agency is to provide timely and reliable weather forecasts, and we recognize the achieving this objective requires breaking down barriers to accessibility. We will continue to enhance our communication channels to ensure that our warnings reach everyone, regardless of physical or sensory limitation. Collaboration remains essential in achieving this goal. We call on policymakers, emergency response agency, media partners, and disability organizations to work with us in co-creating inclusive climate communication systems. By building strong partnership, we can ensure that early warning translates into meaningful action for all. In conclusion, the need for this dialogue is more pressing than ever as we move forward in improving our early warning system and making weather and climate information more accessible. It is essential to recognize that Ghana Meteorological Agency cannot effectively adapt to meet the needs of persons with disability without first understanding the unique challenges they face in accessing information.
And you had the Director General of the Ghana Meteorological Agency, Dr. Eric Esuman. Now, the director of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, Professor Peter Korte, has called for a comprehensive policy to guide Ghana's labor export strategy. Speaking on agenda yesterday with me, Professor Peter Korte stressed the need for a structured system that ensures young Ghanaians who travel abroad to work return home, creating space for others to also benefit from the Work Abroad initiative.
I think if we want to do this in a much more organized manner and on a larger scale, that's a good idea. What I urge the minister and his people to do is to have a comprehensive policy to guide this. Otherwise, if you think people will return because they love Ghana and you'll be disappointed, the system will crash. It will get to a point those destination countries will opt out of the system. Many of the young people have lost faith in the country. I travel around, I meet a lot of Ghanaian students who have vowed not to return. And many are those, if you interview them, they will tell you they want to get out of the system. So you want a system where they will go and come back. That's why we use bonding, that you bond them that they have to return. The another group can also go. Otherwise, left to them, many will not come back. And you can't guarantee their return.
And you heard that the director of ISA, Professor Peter Korte. Meanwhile, Labour, Jobs and Employment Minister Dr. Rashid Popo has also clarified Ghana's labour export policy, and he was also on agenda with me last night. Listen to what he said exactly.
We have companies working on that. It's not as if all the 2 million people will be taken out of this country. Nobody's going to do that. We won't tolerate. We won't even do that as well. We are going to take needed critical staff, give them some training and get them out only for a period and come back to Ghana and invest in this country. That's our objective. So there are companies that are working on it. There are companies who go to sign agreement with other companies that would need the workers. And they come here, get the workers and transport them to the needed spots where they can work. So what we launched there was in the situation of Europe, where we were.
You already signed something with Romania.
Romania has already signed with a company. The company has not signed with government yet. What we have done is to give them the license to be able to do that. So we will give each company that is in this transaction a business license, a labor approval, mobilization approval, so they can do it here and be able to export the labor in a formal, legal, and realistic manner, which will not create problems for anybody.
And you heard that the Minister for Labour, Jobs and Employment speaking earlier to me on Agenda on TV3. And Agenda is at 9 p.m. every Tuesday on TV3. Now, the Managing Director of the Ghana Water Company Limited, Adam Mutawakilu, has given strong indications yet that water supply to the Tamale metropolis, Sanergu and Savelugu will be improved to serve the growing demand. And you recall that area has had a lot of challenges with provision of water. Christopher Mwakon is my colleague in that part of the country. He joins us live on the line. Chris, if you can hear me, we saw how residents in Tamale, drank from unwholesome, and we still see that, really, sources of water which affect their health. Just tell us what you think about the assurances coming in now.
Yes, so the assurances from the MD of the Ghana Water Company Limited, Adam Mutal is getting down well with the people of the Greater Tamale Metropolis and other surrounding communities because he has mentioned that he has tasked the regional manager and his staff to begin to ration water to areas in the Greater Tamale Metropolis and affected areas that hitherto did not get water. And so the people are hopeful that in the coming days they will also get water. There are communities that or suburbs in the Greater Tamale Metropolis that for the past 6-8 months they've not had water flow through their task, others for the past 4 months. And so once water is going to be rationed, then it means that they are also going to get some water flowing through their task. So the reaction has been good from the residents. They are only hoping that the Ghana Water Company will walk their talk on this particular arrangement.
Beyond the rationing of water, is there any other way that people can have access to potable water?
Yes, so he's also mentioned that he's going to speak with some tanker drivers to see how they can also support the water company to be able to send water to areas that will not be able to have water flow through their taps. He says that the company is ready to supply water using tanker services to these areas so that the burden that the water crisis poses on residents will be reduced.
Thank you very much, Christopher Marco. He's our Northern Region correspondent. President John Mahama has nominated individuals for the position of district chief executives in accordance with Article 243 of the 1992 Constitution and the Local Governance Act. The official list of the nominees so far are from 8 regions. These include Volta, Oti, Ahafo, Bono East, Savannah, Northeast, and Western North. These nominees are awaiting approval by the respective district assemblies. You can log on to srenews.com for the full list, and also we'll be bringing you more in our subsequent bulletins as regards analysis and really how experts expect these to work. Before we go, the Greater Accra Regional Minister Linda Oklu has strongly responded to claims by the minority leader Alexander marking that there are no street lights in front of the Jubilee House. Addressing the issue during a monitoring exercise in parts of the capital, Madam Oklu reaffirmed her commitment to improving visibility and security in the region.
This is Jubilee House, and this is also the stretch the minority leader, Honorable Apenyo Markins, made a lot of noise that Jubilee House street lights are not functioning. If I recall, in fact, this is my 3rd term in Parliament. I know this stretch of lights has not been working for the past 9 years now. 9 years. But thanks to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the visionary leader, today the lights around the Jubilee House is working. So let me thank you so much. From here, we are touring all the places that the light has been fixed. And so that someone will say evidence-based, you see for yourself that all the street lights are functioning. So thank you so much for your time.
And you had there the Greater Accra Regional Minister Linda Oklu. That's it for the news on Shri FM 92.7. Log on to shrinews.com for more news. My name is Beatrice Adu. Have a good afternoon.
3FM 92.7. Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
It's the battle of the teams in a 3FM 60-day Fit Start Challenge. Which team will come up tops? Will it be Team Comfort or Team Helen? Will age and tact triumph? Or will youth and energy win? Call or WhatsApp on these numbers: 0532 300 927 or 0532 200 927. Now, to join Team Comfort or Team Helen and enjoy holistic wellness coaching, specialized diet plans, and cooking tutorials, thrilling exercises, challenges, and activities, plus many exciting rewards. 3FM Fit Start is sponsored by Daffy's Health and Beauty, Bill's Microfinance and UGEL Premier, and supported by Blue Skies and the Ghana Medical Association. 3FM Fit Start, your health, your journey, your victory.
3FM 92.7. Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. Coming up this morning, Bank of Ghana moves to manage excess liquidity as it raises 1.69 billion cedis from 56-day bills at 27%. Also, Gold Board Task Force to collaborate with security agencies in historic push against illegal gold trade and smuggling as Ghana readies new regulatory law. We'll hear from Acting Managing Director of PMMC, Sami Jemfi.
We know those involved in the smuggling and all that, we know. And you trust me, you will see what will happen. Let the bill be passed and let the president assent it.
And Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy calls for broader engagement on cylinder recirculation model.
Creating awareness of this particular model on television. Because the findings also show that most of the respondents surveyed indicated that they were aware of this particular CRM model through television.
These stories and others lined up for you. Please stay with me. Thanks for your company. To the very first story, the Bank of Ghana has successfully raised 1.694 billion cedis from the sale of its 56-day bills at an interest rate of 27%. The auction, held on Monday, March 24, 2025, is part of the central bank's open market operations to regulate liquidity in the banking sector. However, details on the total bid submitted and the Bank of Ghana's target amount remain undisclosed. Bank of Ghana bills are a key monetary policy tool, helping absorb excess cash from commercial banks while influencing interest rates in the economy. The funds raised are typically used to finance short-term government obligations. At its latest auction on Monday, March 24, the Bank of Ghana sold 56-day bills at an interest rate of 27%, raising 1.694 billion cedis. However, the central bank did not disclose the total bids received or its target amount for the auction. Analysts say the 27% interest rate reflects Bank of Ghana's efforts to balance inflation control with market liquidity. Market watchers believe future Bank of Ghana bill auctions will provide further insight into the central bank's stance on interest rates and liquidity management amid prevailing economic conditions. And that was a report on the Bank of Ghana raising 1.69 billion cedis from 56-day bills at 27% interest rate to manage excess liquidity. Moving on, the fight against gold smuggling in Ghana is about to intensify as the new Gold Board prepares to operate with special enforcement powers. Acting Managing Director of Precious Minerals Marketing Company, PMMC, Sami Jemfi says the board will establish a dedicated task force working alongside national security, the Ministry of Interior and the Ministry of Defense. The initiative, backed by new legislation, aims to crack down on illegal gold smugglers, seize smuggled gold and ensure offenders face prosecution.
We are not enforcing the law on gold smuggling, and we don't know the agency that is dedicated to the fight against gold smuggling. We We are not. We've left it to the normal security agencies. But now you're going to see in this bill special powers given the Gold Board, such as the right to appoint Gold Board inspectors who have the same powers as police officers, who have powers to come to your office if they are under reasonable suspicion that you are dealing in gold illegally. They can search, they can ask for documents, and if they have cause to believe that you are engaged in illegal gold trading or smuggling, they can seize your gold, they can impound, they can confiscate, they can go to court for search warrants by themselves. Then the Gold Board can maintain a task force in collaboration with other security agencies. And we are going to do that with national security. The Ministry of Interior, the Ministry of Defense are all going to be involved. This is going to be special. And we know the rules. We know those involved in the smuggling and all that. We know. And you trust me, you will see what will happen. Let the bill be passed and let the president assent it. You can't totally eliminate them, but you will see for the first time gold smugglers being arrested, their gold being seized, and they being taken to court, prosecuted, and some being convicted.
And that was Acting Managing Director of Precious Minerals Marketing Company, PMMC, Sami Jefim, speaking at an Accra-based TV station. Moving on, Executive Director of the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, CEMSI, Benjamin Insia, has advocated for a more comprehensive stakeholder engagement and public education campaign should the government decide to proceed with the cylinder recirculation model. Speaking on the potential continuation of the CRM, Benjamin Insia emphasized the need for inclusive dialogue involving all relevant parties, including consumers, distributors, and industry players.
I think that MPA needs to focus on creating awareness of this particular model on television, because the findings also show that most of the respondents surveyed indicated that they were aware of this particular CRM model or CRM program through television, which means that television sells this program more than any other channel. So investing a lot of resources in radio programs, radio advertisement, and other print media, for example, I think that MPA is wasting a lot of resources there. So the resources in terms of creating awareness of this particular model should be channeled through television, because based on the survey, this is an area where most of the respondents got.
And that was Executive Director of the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, CEMSI, Benjamin Insia. Now, the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, has expressed concern over the government's ongoing practice of extending sunset clauses, particularly in relation to the Growth and Sustainable Levy. GUTA President Dr. Joseph Obin voiced worries that this trend would erode the business community's trust and confidence in the government. The Growth and Sustainability Levy initially was at a rate of 1% and has been increased to 3% for the mining sector. Originally scheduled to expire at the end of this year, the levy's sunset clause has been extended until 2028, all sectors that levy applies to.
When it comes to the sunset clauses and all that, it's been on the table for a long time, and it's not giving a fair or integrity to government. Because if you set up time, you have to go with the time. So it's not that you bring a temporary tax and then it will be there in perpetuity. Then people, the business community will not trust you. Some of these taxes that they collect for us, we should also have a say in that, because it's our own money. It was pleaded upon us to pay those things in time of need. But if we extend it and all that, then of course there is a need for accountability of that. It's very important that we are not taking for a ride, that something that is meant for a temporal solution is made to be in perpetuity.
You heard the GUTA President Dr. Joseph Obin unhappy with extension of the expiration date of the Growth and Sustainability Levy, and that will be all for Business Daily with me, Bismarck Ousa. For more business stories, please check out our website 3news.com. Thanks for your company.